Ambassador Park Ji-ho sat in the massive crystal chamber of the Galactic Council Station, watching alien beings debate like he was invisible. The translation device in his ear buzzed with dozens of different languages as representatives from across the galaxy discussed the latest threat. His human clothing looked plain and simple next to the colorful robes and strange armor worn by the other delegates. The chamber itself was bigger than most buildings on Earth. Curved walls made of living crystal pulsed with soft light, and floating platforms carried delegates from species that breathed different gases. Some aliens looked like giant insects, others resembled walking trees, and a few appeared to be made of pure energy. Ji-ho had been coming to these meetings for 3 years, but he still felt like a child among giants. The Zarathi Empire has assembled their largest war fleet in 500 years, announced Council Speaker Veltar, a being that looked like a cross between a jellyfish and a computer. Intelligence reports show 3,000 ships gathering at their military stations. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The Zarathi were known throughout the galaxy as brutal conquerors. They had destroyed 47 civilizations and enslaved countless others. Their ships were fast, their weapons powerful, and their soldiers feared nothing. When the Zarathi decided to attack someone, that someone usually disappeared from the star maps within months. "Who was their target?" asked the delegate from Kepler 7, a creature that looked like a praying mantis the size of a small tree. Its voice made clicking sounds that the translator turned into words. Commander Kextel of the Zarathi military stood up on his platform. He was 7 feet tall, with green scales and yellow eyes that seemed to glow in the crystal light. When he spoke, his voice was like grinding stone. "The target is the human colonies in the Outer Rim. He will claim their worlds for the Empire." Ji-ho felt his heart skip a beat, but he kept his face calm. He had learned that showing emotion in the council chamber was seen as weakness. The other delegates began talking among themselves, their voices creating a buzz of different sounds and languages. Humans. The insect delegate clicked its mandibles in what might have been laughter. The mammals from the third planet of that small yellow star. Their technology barely shows up on our sensors. They use chemical rockets and metal projectiles, added a floating energy being from the Andromeda sector. Their ships move like rocks compared to our vessels. They have no energy shields, no plasma weapons, no gravity drives. Commander Kextel's mouth opened to show rows of sharp teeth. Humans are primitive. They have spread to only 6 worlds in 50 years. Their largest ships are smaller than our patrol boats. This will not be a war, it will be a harvest. The Council's military advisor, a blue-skinned humanoid with 4 arms, brought up a holographic display. Current intelligence shows human forces scattered across their territory. New Geneva Colony has perhaps 12 ships. Kepler Station has 8. Their mining outposts have no military vessels at all. "What about their homeworld?" asked someone from the back of the chamber. "Earth has a small fleet, maybe 30 ships total. They patrol their system, but have never engaged in serious combat. Their weapons are simple railguns that fire metal. Slugs. Very primitive." More laughter rippled through the chamber. To these advanced civilizations, humanity looked like children playing with toys. They had seen the human exploration ships that visited trading stations slow, boxy vessels that seemed to be held together with welds and hope. Human technology was at least 1,000 years behind the galactic standard. The Zarathi fleet numbers 3,000 vessels, Kexel continued. Each ship carries weapons that can crack a planet's surface. Our shields can deflect any energy weapon known to the galaxy. These humans will surrender after the first demonstration of our power. Ji-ho finally spoke up, his voice steady, despite the fear in his chest. The Galactic Council has treaties about protecting developing species. Humanity has not attacked anyone. We pose no threat to the Zarathi Empire. The chamber fell quiet for a moment. Then the laughter started again, louder this time. The insect delegate clicked rapidly, which the translator turned into words. "Protect the humans? From what? They cannot even protect themselves. The humans have been peaceful traders," Ji-ho continued. "We have followed all galactic laws. We have not interfered with other species or claimed territory that belongs to others." "Exactly," said the energy being. You are weak. In this galaxy, the strong take what they want from the weak. This is the natural order. Council Speaker Veltar S. Crystal body flashed different colors as it considered the situation. The council will vote on whether to warn the humans or simply observe the outcome. All in favor of direct intervention? Jiho raised his hand. Was the only one. All in favor of observation without interference? Every other delegate raised their hands, tentacles, or energy fields. The vote was unanimous except for Jiho's dissent. Council will monitor the situation, but will not intervene, Veltar announced. The Zerothi Empire may proceed with their conquest of human space. As the session ended and delegates began floating toward the exits, Jiho activated his secure communication device. It was a simple radio transmitter that looked ancient compared to the quantum networks used by other species. Earth Command, this is Ambassador Park. Priority message. The response came through clearly despite the distance. Go ahead, Ambassador. They're coming. 3,000 ships. The council voted not to help us. They think we're helpless. There was a pause. Then Admiral Ko Wanzek's voice came through the tiny speaker. Understood, Ambassador. Right time to show them what helpless really looks like. The Zerothi invasion fleet appeared at the edge of human space like a swarm of angry wasps. 3,000 ships emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming with alien metal that seemed to absorb light. Each vessel was a work of art and terror, with curved lines that looked almost alive, and weapons that glowed with deadly energy. War Commander Thex stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dominator. He was 8 feet tall, with dark green scales and scars that told stories of 50 conquered worlds. His yellow eyes studied the tactical display with satisfaction. The human colonies were spread out like easy targets, defended by ships that looked like metal boxes with engines attached. Begin the demonstration, he commanded, his voice rumbling through the bridge. Target the mining station at coordinate 77 Alpha. Let them watch their infrastructure burn. The first wave of Zerothi destroyers swept toward New Geneva, colony like sharks moving through water. Their ships were beautiful and terrible, with energy weapons that could melt mountains and shields that sparkled like soap bubbles around their hulls. The humans had built their colony on a rocky planet that reminded them of Mars. With domed cities and mining equipment scattered across the surface, Captain Lee Minho commanded the human defense fleet from his cruiser. It's Bizen's pride. The ship was nothing like the elegant Zerothi vessels. It was a gray metal box with gun turrets sticking out like thorns and engines that glowed blue-white. To alien eyes, it looked like something built in a garage by people who had never seen a real spaceship. All ships maintain formation, Minho ordered through his communication system. Target their lead vessels. Show them what human engineering can do. The human fleet consisted of 20 ships that the Zerothi had already dismissed as primitive. They had no energy shields, no plasma weapons, no gravity drives. Instead, they relied on thick armor plating, powerful engines, and weapons that the galaxy considered ancient history. Railguns charging, reported weapons officer Park Sunho. Ready to fire on your command. The human ships opened fire first, their railguns launching metal slugs at incredible speed. The projectiles screamed through space, leaving trails of glowing particles. But when they struck the Zerothi shields, they bounced off like raindrops hitting a window. The alien energy barriers absorbed the kinetic force and scattered it harmlessly into space. Pathetic, Thex muttered, watching the human attack fail completely. Their weapons are toys, open communications to all human vessels. His image appeared on every human screen throughout the colony, the sight of the massive reptilian warrior. With glowing eyes and scarred hide was meant to terrify, most species surrendered immediately when they saw a Zerothi war commander in full battle armor. Humans of the outer colonies, his voice boomed through the speakers. I am War Commander, Thex of the Zerothi Empire. We have conquered 47 worlds and enslaved countless species. Your weapons cannot harm us. Your ships are slow and weak. Your technology is primitive beyond measure. The human defenders continued. firing, their railguns hammering uselessly against Zerouthy shields. Explosions bloomed around the alien ships, but caused no damage. It was like watching children throw stones at tanks. "I offer you one chance," Thex continued. "Surrender now, and you will be granted the privilege of serving as a labor species. You will work in our mines, build our ships, and feed our armies. This is more mercy than most species receive." The response came from the colony's communication center. A young woman appeared on screen, her black hair tied back, and her uniform marked with the symbols of the Human Colonial Defense Force. Communications. Officer Kim Yuna looked directly at the camera, her voice steady, despite the plasma fire erupting. "Around her station, War Commander Dex," she said, her words clear and calm. "We have received your surrender terms. We also have a message for you and your fleet." Dex leaned forward, interested despite himself. Most species begged for mercy at this point. The humans seemed almost confident. "Speak quickly, female." "My patience grows thin with each passing moment." Yuna smiled, and there was something in that smile that made the War Commander's scales itch with unease. "We've sent a transmission to Earth." The message was simple. "We need the big guns." The bridge translator worked frantically to convert the human idiom into something the Zerothi could understand. "Big guns? You mock me with your primitive weapons? We have watched your pathetic railguns bounce off our shields like pebbles." "Oh, you haven't seen our big guns yet?" Yuna replied, as another explosion rocked the colony behind her. "These little railguns? These are just the small ones. Earth is bringing the heavy artillery." Vex's laughter boomed through the communication. "Link heavy artillery. Your largest weapons are weaker than our smallest guns. Your ships carry metal slugs while ours wield the power of stars themselves. You'll understand soon enough," Yuna said, her smile never wavering. "Earth received our message 3 hours ago. They're already on their way." The War Commander terminated the link, his laughter echoing through the bridge. His officers joined in, their reptilian voices creating a chorus of cruel amusement. The humans were either insane or stupid, possibly both. "Continue the assault," Vex ordered. "Disable their ships, but leave some alive. I want prisoners who can explain this foolishness about big guns. Perhaps they will be entertaining." The Zerothi fleet resumed their attack, plasma weapons carving. Through space like colored lightning, the human ships fought desperately. Their railguns firing continuously, even though every shot failed to penetrate alien shields. It was brave but pointless, like ants attacking elephants. But something bothered Dex as he watched the battle. The humans weren't acting like a defeated species. They should be screaming in terror, begging for mercy, trying to escape. They fought with calm determination, as if they were simply buying time. Time for what? What could possibly be coming from Earth that would change this battle? The humans had shown the galaxy their best technology, and it was laughable. Their big guns were probably just larger versions of the same. Primitive weapons. The War Commander dismissed his doubts and focused on the slaughter. Soon, the galaxy would have one less annoying species to worry about. Deep beneath the Himalayan mountains, Admiral Kowalczyk walked through corridors that officially did not exist. The Terra Defense Force headquarters was carved into solid rock. 3 kilometers underground, hidden from every satellite and sensor in the galaxy. The walls were lined with screens showing star maps, ship positions, and weapon systems that no alien had ever seen. Kowalczyk was 60 years old, with gray hair and tired eyes, but his back was straight and his voice was strong. He had spent 30 years preparing for this moment, building weapons that the galaxy would never expect. Other species developed energy shields and plasma guns. Humanity had gone down a different path entirely. "Admiral, the Zerothi fleet is 3 days out from Earth," reported Lieutenant Commander Bei Jisoo from her station. She was young, maybe 25, with the quick movements of someone who had grown up in space. "Fleet composition matches our intelligence reports exactly. 3,000 ships, all energy-based weapons." Kowalczyk nodded as he studied the main display. The Zerothi fleet looked impressive on the screens, but he knew something they did not. Humanity had been watching alien conflicts for decades, studying how they fought, learning their weaknesses. Every species in the galaxy used the same basic approach to warfare: energy weapons, energy shields, and fancy technology that looked more impressive than it actually was. "Begin activation sequence for the Gibraltar arrays," he ordered. "All lunar installations online. It's time to show them what humans do best." Throughout the solar system, humanity's true defensive network began waking up. In the asteroid belt, objects that looked like mining platforms extended long metal tubes into space. These were railgun batteries, but not the small ones the aliens had seen. These were monsters, each one 2 kilometers long and capable of accelerating projectiles to 20% of light speed. Commander Yu Junho oversaw the weapon systems from his underground bunker on Luna. The moon's far side was covered with what appeared to be mining equipment and research stations. The aliens had scanned them many times and found nothing interesting. They had no idea they were looking at the largest weapons platform ever built by humans. "Lunar rail system is online," Junho reported. "All tubes are charged and ready. We have clear firing solutions on the entire Zerathi fleet." The weapons were simple in concept, but devastating in practice. Take a piece of tungsten metal, shape it into a rod, and fire it at incredible speed. No energy shields, no plasma effects, no fancy technology. Just mass times velocity equals a very bad day for whoever got hit. "Sir, the Zerathi are broadcasting again," said Lieutenant Park Min-jae from the communications station. He was the youngest officer in the command center, barely out of the academy. But his fingers moved across the controls like a master pianist. "They're demanding Earth's immediate surrender." Wansik listened to the alien transmission with amusement. War Commander Thex appeared on screen, his reptilian features twisted with arrogance. "Humans of Earth, your colonies have fallen. Your pathetic weapons cannot harm our ships. Surrender now, and your deaths will be quick." "Send our response," Wansik ordered. "Use the old Earth military saying." Min-jae grinned as he activated the transmission. "Message sent, sir. Come and take it." The beauty of humanity's defensive system was its simplicity. While other species built complex energy networks and gravitational manipulators, humans had perfected the art of throwing rocks very, very hard. The tungsten projectiles were guided by quantum computers that could calculate trajectories across millions of kilometers. They were invisible to most sensors until the moment of impact. "Admiral Stealth Fleet is in position," reported Captain Song Hai-jin from her ship Soul's Vengeance. Her vessel looked like a piece of space junk to alien sensors, covered in materials that absorbed radar and scattered energy signatures. The Zerthi had no idea that 50 human ships were already among their formation. Human stealth technology was not based on energy fields or exotic matter, was much simpler and much more effective. The ships were designed to look like asteroids, with irregular surfaces and heat-dampening systems that made them nearly invisible. They could fly right up to an enemy vessel, and the aliens would never know they were there. "All systems are ready," Wansik announced to his staff. "The aliens think they're fighting primitives with crude weapons. They have no idea what real warfare looks like." The truth was that humanity had been preparing for this war since they first detected alien transmissions 50 years ago. Publicly building peaceful exploration ships and trade vessels, Earth's military had been developing weapons specifically designed to defeat energy-based defenses. They had studied every alien conflict, analyzed every battle, and found the same weakness in every species. They all fought the same way. "The Zeruthi have been conquering worlds for centuries," Wansik continued, addressing his officers. "But they've never faced an enemy that thinks differently. Their shields stop energy weapons, but they were never designed to stop solid matter moving at relativistic speeds." Lieutenant Commander Bay looked up from her station. "Admiral, why didn't we ever show these weapons to the galaxy? They might have respected us more." Wansik smiled grimly. "Then they would have developed countermeasures. The element of surprise is the most powerful weapon in any arsenal. Let them think we're primitive. Let them underestimate us. That's exactly what we want." The command center fell silent as everyone focused on their tasks. Outside, the Zerothi fleet continued its approach, confident in their superiority. They had no idea that humanity had spent decades turning their solar system into the galaxy's largest weapons platform. Final weapons check, Wansik ordered. When they arrive, I want every shot to count. You may only get one chance to show them what humans are really capable of. The countdown began, and Earth prepared to teach the galaxy a lesson about underestimating. The species from the third planet? War Commander Dex stood on his bridge, watching Earth grow larger on the main screen. The blue and white planet looked peaceful and defenseless, exactly as his intelligence reports had predicted. His sensors showed no major military installations, no energy weapons, no shield generators. Just a simple world with primitive technology and delusions of grandeur. Maintain attack formation, he commanded his fleet. Begin bombardment protocols. When we reach optimal firing range. The Zirathi Armada stretched across thousands of kilometers of space, 3,000 warships arranged in perfect geometric patterns. Each vessel bristled with plasma cannons and energy torpedoes capable of cracking countenance. Their shields shimmered like rainbow soap bubbles, beautiful and deadly. This would be recorded as the greatest victory in Zirathi history. War Commander, we're receiving another transmission from the planet, reported his communications officer, a young Zirathi with bright green scales. Put it through, Dex said, expecting more human begging or threats. A human male appeared on screen, wearing a simple military uniform. Admiral Keo Wansik looked older than most humans Dex had seen, with gray hair and calm eyes. War Commander, this is Admiral Wansik of the Terra Defense Force. You have one final chance to withdraw from human space. Dex laughed, a sound like grinding stone. Old human, your colonies have fallen. Your ships cannot harm us. What makes you think your homeworld will fare any better? Because Wansik replied with a slight smile, you haven't seen our real weapons. Yet the transmission ended, leaving Dex puzzled. Real weapons?
Ow.
The humans had shown their best technology at the colonies. Their railguns were impressive for primitives, but completely useless against modern energy shields. What could Earth possibly have that was different? Sir, detecting multiple high-velocity objects approaching from the asteroid belt, called out Sensor Officer Crix, his voice suddenly urgent. Dex frowned. Missiles? At this range? Impossible. Negatives, sir? These appear to be solid projectiles, moving at unprecedented velocities. The first tungsten rod had been fired from Gibraltar Array Station 7, hidden among the asteroids for 15 years. It was 2 meters long and 20 centimeters wide, made of the densest metal humans could manufacture. But its real power came from its speed. The railgun had accelerated it to 60,000 kilometers per second, nearly 20% of light. Speed. How fast are they moving? Vex demanded.
Lady.
Sir, impact velocity will be approximately 18% of light speed. Dex's blood turned cold. Nothing in the galaxy moved that fast, except energy beams. Solid matter at those speeds would carry the kinetic energy of a small asteroid. Evasive maneuvers. All ships. Emergency acceleration. But the Zirathi fleet was designed for space battles, not asteroid impacts. Their ships were fast and maneuverable, but they needed time to change course. The tungsten rods had been fired hours ago. Their trajectories calculated by quantum computers that could predict the exact position of every Zirathi vessel. The first projectile struck the battleship Eternal Conquest directly amidships. The ship's energy shields, designed to deflect plasma and laser fire, offered no resistance whatsoever to solid matter. The tungsten rod punched through the hull like it was made of paper, its incredible momentum carrying it through 17 decks before exiting the other side. The massive warship simply came apart. The kinetic energy transfer was so violent that the ship's structure couldn't handle it. Metal twisted and snapped, the reactor core breached, the Eternal Conquest exploded in a ball of white fire visible from 3 star systems away. Impossible. Vex screamed. Nothing can penetrate our shields. Sir, multiple impacts across the fleet. Crix's voice cracked with panic. We're losing ships faster than I can count. The tungsten rods came from every direction, fired from hidden platforms throughout the solar system. Some struck from above, others from below, A few came straight ahead. Each one was guided by an artificial intelligence that could adjust course. In real time, tracking moving targets across millions of kilometers, dozens of Zerothi ships died in the first minute. Their sophisticated shields and advanced armor meant nothing against projectiles moving at relativistic speeds. The aliens had never encountered kinetic weapons of this magnitude. Their entire military philosophy was based on energy warfare, and they had no defense against humanity's approach. "Where are these weapons firing from?" Vex demanded. "Unknown, sir. Our sensors show no human ships in firing range." That was when the stealth frigates revealed themselves. Captain Song Hajin commanded Seoul's Vengeance, her ship invisible to Zerothi sensors until the moment she chose to attack. Human stealth technology was simple but effective. Hull coatings that absorbed radar, heat dampeners that masked engine, signatures, and electromagnetic scramblers that made the ship look like space debris. "All ships, target their command vessels," Hajin ordered. "Let's cut off the head of this snake." The human stealth fleet had been hiding among the Zerothi formation. For hours, their ships disguised as floating wreckage and asteroid fragments. Now they opened fire with railguns designed specifically for close-range combat. The Zerothi found themselves under attack from enemies they couldn't see, using weapons they couldn't understand. "This is impossible." Dex roared as another tungsten rod cored through his flagship's hull, missing the bridge by mere meters. "How can primitives possess such technology?" His tactical officer, scales pale with terror, looked up from his station. "Sir, we're losing the fleet. Their weapons are destroying our ships faster than we can respond. Our shields are useless against solid projectiles moving at these speeds." Dex watched his mighty armada dissolve under the relentless kinetic bombardment. Ships that had conquered dozens of worlds were being torn apart by simple metal rods fired at incredible velocity. The humans hadn't tried to match Zerothi technology. They had made it completely obsolete. "Signal general retreat," he commanded, his voice hollow with defeat. But it was too late. Another tungsten rod, this one fired from the lunar installations, struck his flagship's reactor core. The last thing War Commander Dex saw was a brilliant white flash as his ship joined the growing debris field that had once been the greatest fleet in Zerothi history. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened in chaos. Representatives from dozens of species floated on their platforms, their voices creating a storm of different languages and sounds. The crystal chamber that usually hummed with calm debate now crackled with tension and disbelief. Ambassador Park Ji-ho stood at the central podium. But everything about him had changed. 3 days ago, he had been the representative of a dismissed species that nobody took seriously. Now he was the voice of a military power that had shattered every rule of galactic warfare. His simple human clothing looked the same, but the way other delegates looked at him was completely different. "Zerothi Empire has formally surrendered," he announced, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber's translation systems. "Their surviving forces are withdrawing from all human territory under armed escort." The silence that followed was deafening. The Zerothia had been the galaxy's most feared military power for over 500 years. They had conquered 47 worlds, destroyed entire civilizations, and enslaved countless species. The idea that they had been defeated by humans was impossible to believe. "How many Zerothi ships survived?" asked Council Speaker Veltar, the jellyfish-like beings, crystal body flashing nervous colors. "Approximately 300 vessels out of their original fleet of 3,000, Ji-ho replied calmly. War Commander Vex was killed when his flagship was destroyed. The remaining Zerothi forces are under the command of Subcommander Yexhai, who has agreed to full withdrawal and war reparations. The insectoid delegate from Kepler-7 clicked its mandibles frantically. "This is impossible." The Zerothi had energy shields, plasma weapons, gravitational drives. How could primitive kinetic weapons defeat such technology? Ji-ho smiled, and there was something in that smile that made every alien in the chamber uncomfortable. "That's exactly the problem. You all assumed that advance meant better. You developed the same weapons, the same defenses, the same tactics. You forgot that there are many different ways to solve the same problem." He activated a holographic display showing the battle's aftermath. Space around Earth was filled with debris from destroyed Zeruthi ships, twisted metal and scattered components floating in the void. The human fleet was barely visible in the display, their ships small and simple compared to the elegant alien vessels. Your energy shields are designed to deflect plasma and laser fire, Jeho continued. They're useless against solid matter moving at 20% of light speed. Your ships are built for maneuverability and speed, but they can't dodge projectiles that are already in flight when you detect them. The reptilian delegate from Cygnus Prime, a species that had lost 3 worlds to the Zeruthi, hissed softly. You were preparing for war while pretending to be peaceful traders and explorers. We were preparing for defense, Jeho corrected. Humanity learned a long time ago that the best way to ensure peace is to be ready for war. We studied every galactic conflict, analyzed every battle, and prepared countermeasures for conventional military thinking. Admiral K.O. Wansik appeared. As a hologram next to Jeho, his image transmitted from Earth, the old human looked tired but satisfied. For 50 years, we watched this galaxy tear itself apart with the same weapons and the same tactics. Energy against energy, shield against shield, speed against speed. We chose a different path. What path? Demanded the energy being from Andromeda, its voice crackling with static. Simplicity, Wansik replied. While you built complex energy networks and gravitational manipulators, we perfected the art of throwing rocks very, very hard. Our weapons are based on physics that every species learns in primary school. Mass times velocity equals force. The faster something moves, the more damage it does when it hits. The delegates looked at each other with growing unease. The humans had not just won a battle, it had proven that all of galactic military science was fundamentally flawed. Every species had been building the same types of weapons for thousands of years, never questioning whether there might be better approaches. We offer our defensive technologies to any species that wishes to protect itself from aggression, Jeho announced. But let this be absolutely clear. Any future attacks on human space will be met with overwhelming force. We have bigger weapons than the ones you just saw. The threat was delivered in the same calm, polite tone that Jeho had always used. But every delegate understood the message humanity had held back during the battle with the Zeruthi. The tungsten rods and stealth ships were just the beginning of their arsenal. The Council recognizes Earth as a major galactic power, Eltar announced, after a brief consultation with the other senior delegates. Humanity will be granted a permanent seat on the Military Advisory Board and full voting rights in all Council decisions. As the session ended, delegates began floating toward the exits, their conversations subdued and worried. Now the galaxy had changed in the space of a few hours. The species they had dismissed as primitive had become the newest superpower, not through conquest or aggression, but through superior thinking and preparation. Jeho received a message on his simple communication device. It was from Kim Yuna, the communications officer who had faced down War Commander Vex during the first battle. She was now stationed on the rebuilt New Geneva colony, helping coordinate the human expansion into former Zeruthi territory. Ambassador. Her message read, "Tell the Council that Earth is already working on our next generation of defensive systems. If anyone else wants to test human resolve, we have much bigger guns waiting." Jeho smiled as he read the message. The galaxy had learned that when humans talked about bringing heavy artillery, they meant exactly what they said. The age of energy weapons and traditional space warfare was over. The age of human military engineering had just begun. The underestimated species from the third planet had become the galaxy's newest teachers. And their first lesson was simple. Never assume that different means inferior.